Oh no, it's crashing! It's crashing!
What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. My apologies, I could not make a video yesterday. I wasn't even in the state. I was traveling. I am back, and although we have to admit the price action is still quite boring, in fact, we've been in this sideways consolidation, very boring, ever since all the way back in May 22nd. We are still at these levels with this one little fake out, this little BART that we got. And look at this, guys. You can even see we tried to even break the 30K level this morning, and we got stomped out exactly at 30K. So Bitcoin is obviously struggling right now. It is the weekend, and no, I don't trust the weekend price action, but we have to talk about what is going on in Bitcoin because there is something that we have never, ever seen before, and it is exploding, absolutely exploding in the background, and it's actually getting a little bit concerning. We need to discuss why this is happening, and no, I'm not talking about the red weekly candles, but I do think that Bitcoin could possibly have one more trick up its sleeve, and I do want to talk about that today. In fact, we actually had this fractal right here that we were talking about, which was from the previous Wyckoff accumulation area, and Bitcoin is actually doing exactly the same. Now, is this fractal actually going to play out? Does this mean that we have sideways downwards action all the way until July? We're going to talk about that, guys. I also want to say that we should be possibly preparing for some volatility, and also, is there a great reversion upon us? We're going to go over all that today. Lots of stuff, so we're going to try to keep it short and sweet if possible, although that oftentimes is impossible for, these types of videos. But if you are enjoying the crypto content, even during this bear sideways action, slap a like on the video. I love you guys. This is why I continue to make videos in the first place, and that's exactly why you all subscribe. So if we have a look at what we're doing, you can see right here, essentially we were putting in this pattern. We did break out of it, right? But keep in mind, we did have a little bit of fake outs to the bottom and the upside. We got barred, right? And, but ultimately, really, seriously, we still are just sort of trading in this range right here. You could just say this was a little bit of a fake out. So ultimately, would it be possible to come a little bit lower? Yeah, I mean, we're only, if we were to fall back down to this support right here, that's only a 2% move for Bitcoin, which is absolutely nothing. And I actually think it wouldn't be unhealthy to come back down here and retest around the $28,800 level one more time. Remember, it is the weekend, and oftentimes, come Monday, we tend to do the opposite of what we did on the weekend. So if we were to have a pump here, I would probably say we're going to come back down. So I wouldn't mind just, falling the extra 2% over the next 2 days, reclaiming this support right here. And then I think we can finally have that move to the upside. Now, if we move over here, I just want to point out that you could see that we were starting to put in this upward sloping trend right here, right? You can see right here, we had this wick, we had this touch, we had these two touches, right? So we did have this upward sloping trend. And if I actually zoom in right here, look at what happened, guys. We perfectly came up this morning, touched that level, and so far have been rejected. Now, if we do lose this level, there is the possibility that maybe, just maybe, we're putting in this longer upwards trend, right? Where we had this touch right here, we had this touch right here. So, that is the possibility. Like I said, this is upward sloping. So no, we're not going to go below the $28,600 level, but as I said, tapping $28,800 would actually make a lot of sense as this weekend progresses, and then I think that would set us up for a bigger move. And as you can see, what are the stocks doing? Same thing, consolidating. So we are in a consolidation move. Very boring, I know. If you're just checking the price every day, you're like, oh, same as yesterday, right? But we do need to see what is happening with this pattern. Is it going to break out? Because the S&P is sitting below not one, but two of its very critical supports, flipped resistances. So that is something we need to pay attention to. And Bitcoin, you can see, has touched this multiple times. So this is why I said we can continue to bounce around in this area for a little bit longer, but ultimately, one test down here I'd be okay with. If we stay on this level, then we're probably going to come down here and put in that double bottom pattern on this upward sloping trend. Either way, I still am anticipating a move to the upside, minimally potentially to the $33,000 level. But what if I'm wrong, right? Because, I've been wrong before, right? Nobody's perfect. And as you can see, if we do take this fractal right here and we drag it over, which is what we did in my video like 4 days ago, we are kind of doing exactly what we were doing back there. Now, obviously, fractals are fractals for a reason. Nothing is ever going to trade exactly as it did, a previous time. But as you can see, taking this fractal, we had the dump, right? Dump came a little bit slower, wasn't as aggressive, but we still got that move. So you could say, yes, we did that. Then we got the sideways chop. We didn't get the fake out to the downside, but we did get the fake out to the upside. And currently, we're at the area in the pattern where we need to make that decision. Because if the fractal does play out, then this is telling us that we are going to fall. And, I don't want to put these terrible numbers down here, but this does put us down at around the $22,000 level. Now, interestingly enough, having a look at this, we are still sort of being, I would say right here, if you look in there, we're only a little bit away, but we are ultimately at the bottom of this long-term trend. And talking about that 200 daily moving average, okay, if Bitcoin was to come down here and actually touch this, $22,000 level, if we just simply have a look at where the 200 daily moving average is today, right here, currently, it's actually sitting exactly at $22,183. And remember, this does go up over time. So I'm starting to see these confluences on the chart. We're starting to see, after, waiting all this time period, a lot of these levels are starting to line up. And it does look like the possibility is becoming stronger and stronger that this could be the bottom for Bitcoin, or at least we are exceptionally close. Now, here is the thing that I need to talk about. These Bitfinex longs have no chill. They are literally still piling in. Now, obviously, it's not as big as the move that we saw here, but look at this. They are still adding. Look at this candle, guys. There's not even a wick on this candle. That means they are still adding to their longs right now. Somebody, either a group of whales or one whale or somebody out there, thinks that it is time for a major bounce, and they are loading up, and they are putting their money where their mouth is, okay? Unless they're trying to fake us out in some weird way, but if they're already going into these longs, they are putting their money where their mouth is. And this is, just to put this into perspective, you think this looks like a lot? I'm going to zoom out. Look at this, guys. Let's zoom out on this chart all the way on this chart. We have never, ever, you could barely even see it. I have to switch it to a higher time frame. This is the daily. We've never seen levels this high for Bitfinex longs. So there is definitely something going on. Somebody knows something or is assuming something. And by looking at this, they think we're going to have a big pop. So we don't have to follow the money. We don't have to follow the whales. But, historically speaking, the last time that we got to those levels, as I pointed out, it was just before a major rally. So if that was to happen, it would sort of invalidate this fractal. But up until this point, everything's been playing out as predicted, or as the fractal says we should. So we do have to keep our eyes on that. But yeah, this is crazy, guys. We've never seen anything like this before. And like I said, Bitcoin could have one more trick up its sleeve, right? We could come down and retest that lower level, fake these guys out. Oh my goodness, am I going to get liquidated? And then revert and actually have the move to the upside. And the other thing to note is things could get a little bit crazy. And this is where that volatility could come in, because we do have on the Bitcoin dominance charts resistance right here at around 47, let's just say 48%, right? Round it to 48%. And at that point, you could see some of the altcoins try to rally against the Bitcoin comparative, right? So that could make the markets a little weird for a little bit as well. Will it happen in this downtrend, or will Bitcoin just blast right up to 52% at this major resistance? It's a possibility, right? I would say that this one's a lot more important. We have a lot more activity here, right? But just keep our eyes on that. Now, talking about Bitcoin, ARK Invest, they came out and they were just talking about how the Bitcoin network, as you can see right here, is still very strong, and they're still very bullish on Bitcoin. You even had, who was it? Was it Goldman Sachs? No, it was JP Morgan. One of them was coming out. I forget now. Jamie Dimon's camp over there, right? Saying that 38,000 should be the price for Bitcoin, that Bitcoin is incredibly oversold, right? And they say an all-time of nearly 66% of Bitcoin supply has not moved in a year, which is a testament to the holders. Short-term holders, however, are underwater. Their positions fell by negative 35% below their break-even price. If Bitcoiners are holding, who's selling all these cheap sats? Well, it's short-term holders. So as we saw, it was a lot of the new investors, the guys that got in, they tried to make quick money, they bought the top. Now they're down, they're panic selling, they're capitulating, they're getting out of the way, right? It doesn't mean that it's over, but this is a good thing. And I hate to say that if you are new, if you did just, buy cryptocurrency or Bitcoin specifically, I personally am going to tell you to hold out on this, because we know what happens every time Bitcoin reverts, right? And that's exactly what we're seeing over here, because there was an interview with Mike McGlone over from Bloomberg, and he was talking on Kitco News, and this is what he had to say. I was going to play the clip, but really this is the most important quote. He says, "I think what's going to happen is the Great Reversion is just getting started. it might be like the aftermath of 1929 or maybe 2008 or even 1987, right? But the greatest inflation in 40 years is really what we're seeing in our lifetime. And once we get through this period, he says, I think Bitcoin is going to become realized that this is one of the best assets on the planet to hold. Now, that's my base case, and how that works, I don't know. So we'll have to see how things play out. But he says, you know, he would be looking to long US bonds or go US bonds long Bitcoin. And he does mention gold as well. But he does say that he thinks we're going to go back to deflation, you know, short term. It's just the way it works. But in terms of things, I like to watch commodities and assets that are in their early days of reverting. And he says that Bitcoin should be one of the ones that comes out ahead. He also says that this $30,000 area is a very good area for Bitcoin to be having its bottoming out, or at least accumulation stage. And he doesn't think it's going to go below 20,000. He says that he thinks it would be quite unlikely to see Bitcoin go below $20,000. Now, that's not what we're hearing a lot of other people say, right? But what we are hearing is that retail is leaving the building. Well, what's going on with institutions? Are they still around? Well, the month of May saw a strong recovery in the inflow of Bitcoin ETPs with a total number of 9,765 Bitcoin. The flow of Bitcoin into Bitcoin ETPs has also been favorable in June, with the global holdings hitting an all-time high of 205,000 Bitcoin. The Canadian Purpose Bitcoin ETF has led inflows of Bitcoin into the ETPs. We still do not have our spot Bitcoin ETF here in the US. We know what that will do when that comes. We know how much of this old money is just sitting there waiting for that opportunity to invest in the good old dinosaur fashion way that they're used to. And you can see right here that we're having recoveries globally on ETPs. So this is showing me that the institutions are still in. They are still accumulating, while, you know, the average retail, the average Joe, the new guys that just got in, you know, they're leaving, right? They're leaving the space, they're losing interest. And this is just what the data is showing us, right? But we're smart. We're not leaving. We're paying attention. We're learning. We're accumulating. We're dollar cost averaging, right? That's what you do in these time periods. And it's these groups of people, you guys, that actually reap the benefits when all your friends come back in a year and say, man, I wish I bought Bitcoin at those prices, but I was too busy panic selling, capitulating, or not even dollar cost averaging. Well, then I guess you could just say, I told you so, right? So something that is not happy for me to report, unfortunately, being a New York native myself, but I got to report this news, not proud of it, but the upper house of New York State legislature has passed a ban banning Bitcoin mining permits for a period of 2 years. Now, just to actually clarify this, the bill would place a 2-year moratorium on issuing new permits for cryptocurrency miners using carbon-based fuel, okay? So any operation granted approval thereafter would also be subject to an environmental impact study for the purpose of meeting climate goals established under 2019 statute. Mining operations already underway or those undergoing the permit renewal process would be exempt from the ban. So basically, they're not like totally 100% against it. They just want to find a way to make it renewable, make it green, etc. But yeah, it does suck that, New York is doing this and you got, Texas going completely in the other direction, right? And Miami and things like that. But that's a terrible place to end today's video. I don't have any more news. Why did I put that news at the end of the video? Usually I like to end on a good story. Well, the good story is that Bitcoin is at an excellent opportunity to accumulate right now. And, how many more red weekly candles are we actually going to get? We're seeing that we're completely oversold on the RSI. We're seeing all these guys come out saying that, when the reversion happens, Bitcoin is the place to be. You have Bitcoin bears flipped Bitcoin bulls. You have, bankers and institutions and all these other guys, not that I say we should trust them, but even coming out and saying, yeah, I think Bitcoin is a little bit underpriced at these levels. So is it time to run for the hills because they're becoming bullish? Who knows, guys? But that's it for me today. Thank you for coming back to the channel. And if you did make it this far, I'm going to pause and take a second here. Drop a comment below this video. Let me know what you guys think. It's very, very boring price action. What are you doing right now? Are you dollar cost averaging? Are you sitting in cash right now, just waiting for lower Bitcoin? Are you trading? Are you long? Are you trying to scoop up some altcoins? What do you think is going to happen with the economy? Should we be worried? And do you trust Mike McGlone, that actually Bitcoin will be one of the best performing assets when we do have the official reversion, and Bitcoin might be one of the first to start when that happens? I tend to agree with him, but drop your comments below. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. My name's K-Dub. This is Crypto Zombie, and if you guys are looking to trade, be safe out there. Make sure you watch these videos popping up right here, right now. We have over $20,000 in bonuses below. Take advantage of that. Until next time, stay crypto, and of course, peace out.